Hey, welcome to day 2 of podcasting and day 7 of vlogging. Um, Today I do not have a script. it was so much effort to just stay on task with this. My brain is fighting the continuous movement of a daily routine. I haven't had a daily routine in a while, and this is the end of summer. This is when the kids go back to school, and you have to function on a routine, whether you want to or not, in America. Because when you take the children to school or when you get them ready for school, it forces you, even if you go back to bed, you're still forced to have functioned fully for at least minimum an hour. And so then your brain is like, well, what do I do with the rest of me? And so fortunately, I have unfortunately, I have way too much time between when my daughter goes to school and when I come to record. So in the past, if there's not enough time to go do what I have to do after she goes to school, it's perfect because jump in the shower, get ready, eat, and run out the door. But here I have enough time to possibly take a whole other nap when she's gone or just lazy in the bed. And that's what started happening. And then my cousin, smart woman, was like, yo, start moving, start moving. But then I got stuck on Instagram for a quick moment. Luckily, my Instagram feed is a very positive Instagram feed. I don't know about you, but I get people who tell you how to get your life together, how to get going. So this morning, the message was how when you finally start getting the new thing to work after you've made all these mistakes, then you get to that moment where you can either let those bad habits back in or let those people that you just removed from your life successfully and you let them start to speak as they show back up because they're starting to see that you're doing something. And I was like, warning to the wise, do not come back to my life if you've been removed. This is a public service announcement, which you will. Just like my ex-husband who thought it was a cool idea to ask me to remarry him, even though he filed for divorce. Lots of juicy mess there. We're going to leave that subject alone. But I totally get it. I get why some people realize that, oh my gosh, maybe I didn't think about it that way. So this Korean movie I was talking about yesterday, Japanese drama that I binge watched on Sunday night, that had me boohooing and giving me some seriously puffy eyes by morning. So it's a made up story, but a really good one. And in it, the lady has never really dated before. And so this guy that she's like an adult when she finally dates this guy and they're coworkers. And the guy asks her because he's her superior at work, he asks her not to reveal their relationship publicly. And so he just comes to her house every night after work and they get into a routine and everything. And all of a sudden he says he needs space. And so he doesn't come over and she figures, well, okay, he'll eventually tell me when he's done with the space, or maybe he needs the space because I've pressured him into wanting to get married. Again, if anybody ever gives you space, you should ask before they leave what the intents and the goals of the space are. Don't assume. Everybody has their reasons for things. Know for sure. And know for sure if it's something you want to participate in or you're not willing to. And don't sign up for things that do not match or align with who you are, where you're going, and the goals you have in mind, right? Because the truth is, even if that person is right for you, don't sit there and wait for them. Don't sit there and wait for them. Let them go and figure themselves out and come back. In that meantime, you do you. Whatever you do you looks like at that time. Because if you sit and wait for someone, sometimes resentment comes from that. And sometimes you stop living in anticipation of their return. And this is kind of what she did. And one day she's at a work get together and he's talking with this girl. And her coworker says, look at the two of them. They're dating. Everybody in the office is talking about it. And here she is, silently sitting and festering with the knowledge that this was her guy. And he's cheating on her. And he hasn't even ended their relationship, right? And I think also there's also the other element of this, which is he's publicly dating her, but didn't publicly date her. And I'm like, yo, that part is painful because I know as women, at some point you've let that happen. Either in your younger days, your older days, or whatever days you chose to do this, right? Either from naivete of trusting somebody or either from just not being out there to see or catch these things or just not realizing that that person is not the person. And you know what? I think I'll say it best this way. What I learned when I was younger was that if you do not spend time with someone publicly and you agree to a silent, quiet relationship, you never know the truth of that person. Do not agree to a silent, private relationship if you want something more. If you are looking for a marriage, never agree to a silent, private relationship. If you are looking for someone you can grow with or someone who you want to trust and have like real depth of a relationship with, do not agree to a silent relationship. Silent relationship is for people trying to sneak around and have a little good time that nobody knew about. That's all it's for. It's not for anything else. Do not, under any circumstances, agree to it if you do not want a shake it up moment that you don't want no one knowing about. Other than that, don't do it. So she didn't know about these things. She was a very naive young woman, a good naive young woman, by the way. And she ends up breaking even and getting a really great guy, better than she could have imagined. But what she didn't know is the really great guy had been in love with her for 10 years prior. He had met her in a random encounter and had met her again in several random encounters. And he just wouldn't let her go in his brain. And so when that guy does that thing at the workplace, he ends up seeing her in the aftermath of that. The work environment decide to go to the second party. And outside, she realizes she just wants to go home because she doesn't want to be a part of this anymore because, she's silently nursing these emotions and her coworker, no one else knows. And so she's not trying to have a breakdown in front of any of them. So she's trying to just sneak off. And so the good guy sees her from across the street and watches as the horrible supposed ex-boyfriend or current boyfriend, cheating boyfriend, walks up to her and says, "You are a buzzkill." And I'm thinking to myself, how can you tell her she's a buzzkill when you're with somebody else publicly in front of everybody else and you never dated her or talked about her publicly? Well, later on, she does find out he does talk about her publicly, but he actually talks about her in a very demeaning manner. And it's horrible. Like she gets to hear this and no one knows that they're talking about her. Until later, the female coworker realizes, oh my God, that was you we were talking about. And she's like, I'm so sorry. But by then she's grown legs and she's learned, what relationships really are. And she learns really fast. She ends up having to learn really fast, in a very painful environment. But the good guy ends up like rescuing her through this. And that guy who's like really shady and cheating on her, he ends up almost creating a very unsafe environment, a very unsafe environment for her, makes threats, shows up at her house, does some really shady stuff. And it's really weird because I could see I've known guys who'd done things like that, but I had enough knowledge on relationships. This girl had none, and she was experiencing all of this. And if it wasn't for that good guy, it could have gone south so badly. Like really, really bad. And, and you're just like, how many times as a girl not knowingly allowed a narcissist who was just a total jerk into their lives without even understanding just how bad they were, right? Because they played this really nice guy in front of you, but publicly everybody knew they were a jerk. But if you had dated them publicly, you would have known they were a jerk too. And too many times as girls or women, we open doors to people who you let in for private entertainment or private whatever, and don't realize that this person shouldn't be in your space. Sorry, I'm going to move. I'm going to adjust myself because I realize I can be on the mic really well and be seen. Figuring it out, still figuring it out. It took me a minute to realize that all I had to do was turn on the volume for the mic because I couldn't hear it. Again, sometimes learning new equipment can be a moment. But yeah, that juice from that the Japanese series, it's called Sudden Marriage. If you're looking for it, it's on Amazon Prime. I may throw a link. Stop quoting me on these. I've been told never to promise people things because I disappoint them sometimes, and I'm learning not to promise people things. But I'm not good at it yet. There's certain things I'm just not good at, and so I will give disclosures instead for the things I'm not good at until I learn to stop doing them. Baby steps. You grow out of trauma in baby steps. You grow out of the pain you've been through in baby steps. You heal by doing healing things in steps. Rome wasn't built in a day, my dad used to always say, and healing is a process. Sometimes it takes years. Just like mourning is a process. A lot of life is processes. And I know that some of those processes are not some of them, all of those processes are painful. I mean, think of it. When you put a Band-Aid on, the Band-Aid sticks to the hairs on your skin. But that's the only way to stick the Band-Aid on because the hairs are all over your skin, right? And so when you want to remove the Band-Aid, carefully removing every hair is not possible. So you're going to get some hairs pulled off as you pull off the Band-Aid, right? And so there will be pain as you pull off the Band-Aid, no matter what you do, right? It may be minimal pain or it could be like, yo, that hurt. Okay, my cousin promised me she'll call me soon. I got to pause everything. Hold on. Finish. And then I'm trying to figure out how to listen. Normally, when I record on the phone, I can listen to what I was saying before I paused. I can't do it either on the podcasting or on the laptop recording. So I don't even know how to fix that. That would be a later learning moment. Look, the fact that I can record on my laptop and that I can record a podcast at the same time and get it halfway decent. Oh, yeah, and the jeans jacket is on. Yes, I have reached cold. I had to even clean my nose because old buildings, public buildings, create a nasal drip for me. It becomes allergy moment. And then once I'm cold, it's just downhill from there. I may have to run outside for a quick minute to heat back up and then come right back in to function. I'm one of those people that once I get freeze, so I used to work in companies that thought that if the temperature was freezing cold, that you would stay awake and work. But for someone like me, that is how you put me into catatonic sleep. And I used to think, oh my God, do they not know that this is not for everyone? And I'm there freezing to death and I used to always bring sweaters and blankets to work. And I'm so cold, I could barely function. And I would just think to myself, why do they think everybody needs the cold? Some people cannot physically function in cold. I was so confused how so many employers didn't know this. And they would make it so cold, you couldn't function. My body would be so shivered out, I couldn't even rationally think. And I would just be like, somebody needs to say this to people. Stop freezing your employees. This is not beneficial for everyone. You're going to slow me down to crawl where I can barely think and I can barely be productive because I'm just so cold. Other things that let me know that being in the 9 to 5 was really not meant for people like me. So, yeah. But yeah. And so today I get to also I started a project because I couldn't study for the CDLB. So I started creating my own AI videos that read the book in a nice, tangible way with visuals that I use Gemini and ChatGPT to create. And then I also use Google Video, but it's on a paid account. It's on a paid Google Workspace account. And then Google wants to see if I'd be interested to advertise them and pay me to advertise them. But it was a lot of work to figure that system. I know I eventually have to because I really like how the Google Video works. I'm able to record this because of Google Video, and it's precisely 30 minutes, which is great for me. I get to be in my time slot of what I would like to do, and it's really easy. I'm telling you, like all you're doing is hit record, and there's a pause button next to it. Like there's no complicated anything here. Like you can turn off the mic, you can turn on the mic, you can take it from the recording, go to the next stage and insert things in, take things out, put closed captions in. Like this is easier than when I used the video app that was intended for doing YouTube and other stuff like that. That lets you put stickers and GIFs. And so I actually create my own GIFs. I started doing it a while back. It was this fun little thing that when I wanted to create birthday things for people and they were very specific to each person. Yeah, I used to create these little birthday GIFs. I would make them into GIFs because any phone can handle a GIF and it's not too big a video. Even if you don't have storage space, you can handle a GIF. So I would create them in Canva or a combination of the GIF app itself. Take either an image I'd shot somewhere or some really cool thing I'd found somewhere. And then I would add writing, add some sprinkle shiny things and, make it cute. But I usually like using Canva because Canva is like an easy do. It's like, look, my son calls Canva the poor guy's or the poor man's Adobe. But Canva has upgraded greatly since then. I did leave Adobe. Yeah. When you are a corporation and you think it's okay to not hear your people out and to have all those big workshops where you make us feel stupid and then you don't even fix the software in the ways that make sense and you just keep changing things on us left and right. And if we don't come to your conferences and we don't learn your new way, we can barely use the new software. People got tired of you and we finally figured out how to leave you. Yeah. Hopefully you'll fix it because you have good software. You're just jerks about it. Software should not be hard to use. It should not. I understand that you want professionals using it, but I have a lot of professional stuff to make t-shirts and they're easy to use. And someone who's not a professional could use them too. Maybe not some skill sets they wouldn't have because they don't do it every day. And that's fine. Just like Canva, some skill sets you don't have, so you don't do it every day or you don't know certain things about Canva. But even not knowing certain things about Canva, you can go in there as a novice and make great stuff. And then if you're like me, who knows how to like move things and make things magical, shortcut stuff, overlay things in certain ways to get what you need out of it, you'll get amazing stuff out of it. I used to do client work on my phone in 2010 in 5 minutes. Don't tell nobody. It looked professional, and it was. And it could be where they needed it to have it. And it could handle and come in the right format and be accurate for them by the time I gave it to them, because I've merged all the layers and so they don't see my dirt, and it was great. But Canva has upgraded. This last upgrade they did last year was phenomenal. And I do love that question and asking Canva to do things, and they do be doing it. Software that adapts to what you need and that gets your pain points and that fixes it. Yeah, Adobe, you should learn from that. Just saying. Anyways, so Godspeed and live well. Till tomorrow. We can do this.